Hi, in the last video we looked at how we could expand SQ Sequencer in Ableton Live 12 Suite to allow more variations on the sequences and infinite numbers of sequences actually, and to make it a little bit more hands-on. Today we're going to look at how we can modify the rack we made in the last video. I'll leave a link below for anybody who hasn't seen that. How we can modify that now to work with the drum rack and slices instead to make ever-varying melodic sequences. Here's the original SQ Sequencer effect instrument rack that we put together in the previous video. As I say, if you've not seen that, check the link below. I'll put a card up here. Effectively we were controlling drift here, but you could have put any AU, VST or any instrument in here. Works with a series of LFOs at the back here, which allow you to modulate here the various pitches in the sequencer, and through the macros here you can control the rate of modulation, what's being modulated, etc. I say check out the video if you've not seen it. This was the original rack. Let's have a look then at what we now have, which is the same instrument rack modified to no longer work with instruments but to work with these drum rack kits. So we have control over these 16 steps here, and in the same way that we modulated the pitches, we can set the settings here to modulate the slices, get different drum rhythms, as an example. This is just one drum rack, but different settings here, giving us different variations. Okay, so let's just have a look then what's actually going on. I'll close that for a second. You can see the different slices are being modified here. One change over the original rack are these mashup 1 and mashup 2 functions, and previously, if I just close this for a second, previously we were controlling, with these two macros, we were controlling the scale and the root note. But now what we're actually doing, we'll just move this over a little so you can see, the mashup 1 controls now the scale, which if I then change gives us another quantization here of the slices, because it's effectively playing a different scale, plays different notes. So that allows us variations of the slices being played. Just a way of, changing things up a little bit. Mashup 1 changes the root note again, changes where we start in the slices. So this is just a little extra to add variation. To the sequence you're generating. Okay, let's have a look then maybe how it works a little bit deeper. We'll take this rack out here, and yeah, you can just, if you want to drop a new one in, you could go to drum rack, you could just choose any of these, drop them in. I'm going to use one I've prepared earlier here, which is the Rhodes here. So just hold that, drag it and drop it in. That'll start playing. Change my tempo a little bit. So here we go. Okay, so we have the same thing. We can close off the depth, and then we have these fixed values. One thing to note, in the previous version of this rack, you could have a range that went all the way up, so that it was 12 semitones plus minus 12 semitones. Here you're limited. Let's maybe just go to one step, you can see this clearly. With the one step we're playing here, Here we go. You can see it down the bottom here. Just pull that down. I start at -8 on the bottom of the 16 steps, and as I move up through the range, you see this moves up until we get to the top step. It's a bit asymmetrical, very asymmetrical. I couldn't find a way to change it. It's just the way SQ Sequencer is set up. I'd like to have had it in the middle, but it doesn't work that way. And what it also means is if I set that to the bottom note and open up the depth here, now we will move through a range here. As I increase this, we start moving up, opening up the possibilities. If we get to 0, then we have the entire range. And you notice when I was at -8, it spends more time on the bottom note because it's bang, 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 banging down the bottom here. In the same respect, if I set this above 0 now, 1 or 2, it starts to play squares that don't have slices in them. Now, you could fill these squares with slices, or you can leave them blank, because the advantage of leaving them blank is we get these rhythms, these blanks. I mean, you could do it down here with the octave, with the velocity. You could switch off the velocity here, put them all back on. I've got some actually deactivated here. So you could turn off your velocity here to turn off a step, but you now have the option of introducing more blank steps, or as I say, you could fill them. It's your choice. It's just the way it works. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's just have a look what changes are made from the original rack, and then take it from there. Let's see how that's modified. The modification is quite easy, it goes quite quickly. So there's a couple of things we need to delete and just a few changes we need to make. Here's the original infinite melody machine made in the first video. We no longer need chord, we can delete that. We don't need drift anymore, we can delete that. We have our spot for our drum rack to go here. We need a couple of modifications to these 3 LFOs, the ones that control the pitch modulation here. Need to set an offset of -34%. -34, that's done. Close that. This we can set to 0. This we need to rename. I called it mashup. Mashup 1 and mashup 2, for the want of a better name. And then we just need to adjust here our mappings for the range of these. So pitch 3, sequence 2 pitch, and sequence 1 pitch, and sequence 3 pitch. We need to change this to 8 for the upper range and -8 for the lower range. We do that for all these 3 blocks. And the final block. Okay, so that's now done. So I think that's pretty much it. So we have to do, we just need to drop a rack in. Let's drop this one in here. Hold on, we can have a look, make sure this is working correctly. We'll shut those down, switch off the depth modulation, and let's have a look at pitch 1. Goes to the bottom, it should be asymmetrical. Yes, we have this asymmetrical effect here. Okay, so if we drop now our So Future kit back in, then we should be able to, let's close this. If I pull this all the way down, pitch 1. Oh, one more thing we need to do, excuse me. It's always good to check. We need to adjust here the octave. If we go here, we can pull that down by 1. So these pull all these down by 1 octave. That should now work correctly. Yes, there we go. So we now have the bottom square lit at -8. If we go up, remember this rack has additional 4, 8, 12, 16. So 16 blocks here. The top 4 are additional slots in this rack. So that the range is fine. So that should, in theory, now work. That's it. Thank you for watching, and take care. Thank you.